Okie dokie, we are back. Friday live Q&As. So we'll wait for a couple of people to come on. I'm just going to do a general warm-up, be ready to go. I'm not really training much today. Like specifically, I've done a heavy hard planche session yesterday. I'm probably going to do something related to handstand push-ups for my own training. So I will warm that up while I'm waiting for any questions to come on. So I've literally done nothing today. I've been on my computer most of the morning. Feedback for clients and app updates. So with the app, I've done some new videos and programs. I'm trying to link more of the follow-along videos and tutorial videos to programs, and then also updating all the demonstration videos as we go. Rosie's hair, she's behind the box. Getting dog hair everywhere. I've just vacuumed. So stick any questions down. Let's warm up the handstand, see what we're dealing with today. So normal, open and closing the shoulder, see what balance we have. So with the handstand, just making sure that you're trying to control the handstand with the base. Look how I'm using my shoulders, my focal point, my elbows, my hands to balance, not my legs. My legs can do whatever they want to. It makes it easier if they stay as one segment, but I'm trying to control the handstand as much as I can with the hands, the shoulders. Warm that up. Feel the wrists a little bit from yesterday. Hey, how are you? And we've got 4 on so far. Shout any questions. So let's do some easy pike push-ups. So good hamstring calf stretch as well. So especially the mobility, like I'm not a big mobility fan. So what makes me stretch all the time is the skills. So it makes things much easier. So if I can include hamstring warm-up, calf warm-up in the strength work, then I'm much happier to do it. I'm going to do it more often. Okay, first question, what we got? Please tell me progression of smooth bent arm handstand. Not sure what you mean by smooth bent arm handstand. You mean handstand push-ups? Is that what you mean by smooth bent arm handstand? If it is, that's cool because that's what I'm training today. With the handstand push-up, we need to make sure that we've got 3 things going on. So we've got the handstand balance, so really super important that when I'm going through a handstand push-up, that I've got a window that I can balance in, both here and in the bottom or on the pathway with the handstand push-up. So there, I'll be able to hold that balance window throughout the movement. So I've got room for error. I obviously need to have the strength, and then I need to have the understanding of the pathway where we need to go. So you combine all those things together, then the handstand push-up is much easier. Pike push-up to handstand. Yeah, so pike push-up, fantastic. The only thing with the issue with the pike push-up that can become an issue is the legs are closed at the hip, and it makes us heavy back towards the feet. So even though we're doing push-ups this way around, we can tend to load the legs too much and also make the hip flexors being closed, so the legs being closed in this position, part of the movement. So then when we try and come to handstand from there and come up into this position, it tends to do that where our body's like folding in half as we go up and down. So I'd make sure that when you are doing pike push-ups, that you're also doing some balance work where the body is straight. So again, your balance control in both back to wall, moving the heels on and off the wall, that type of position, and also this way around, open and close the shoulder position here where the body is straight and you're not piked. So, and if you then do that combined with your pike push-ups, then it's going to fill a lot of the gaps. So you're increasing your balance window, you're increasing your strength in your bent arm position. And then when you put all that together, it should make it much, much easier to unlock those pike push-up variations all the way up to a freestanding handstand push-up. You can put your legs together in a pike push-up. It's just where you're comfortable. Again, the legs aren't the priority in the pike push-up. The torso angle is the priority. So you can have your legs together if that's more comfortable. I'm more comfortable in a slight straddle position. Obviously, legs together in a pike push-up. So if I do it like this, much harder to get into this position. Now I feel more restricted in my legs. Here it's just much easier. There's more space. So the hips are happier, the hamstrings and calves are happier. So then I can concentrate only on what the shoulders and the upper back is doing. So you don't want flexibility or restriction in the hips to be a component of the pike push-up. Okay, drills for proper handstand alignment, please. The big one is shoulder upper back area. I put a video up like 2 days ago or 2 to 3 days ago on correcting a banana handstand. But the big ones are making sure that you're opening up. So hanging. So every day, making sure you're in a hanging position, open up the shoulders as much as you can there. Mobility work for the upper back and shoulders. So most people are in this position. Then we try and put our hands above our head, our hips come forwards and vice versa. So we're fighting this all the time. Chest to wall handstand position, focusing on elevating up, tall in the position. So here we're constantly reaching up, holding for time. So this is probably the most important one because it puts you in the handstand position and allows you to spend loads and loads of time in the position. And it's something you can do most days, if not every day. If it's too intense, lay on a foam roller. Mobility, where's my roller? Yoga block, roller, mimic the handstand line position. So if I stick something on the floor in the way, so I could use this yoga block, whatever you have, stick it on the floor in the middle of your back, hang out in that position, mimic the handstand line, and hold there for time. So that one's really good as well. It's not giving us the conditioning of the handstand though. So that's where the chest wall is really good. But if you do a bit of both of those, you can be quite targeted on that. If you don't have a yoga block, use a foam roller. If you don't have a foam roller or a yoga block, use anything that you can put in the way. You're just going to create a demand to open up your shoulders, upper back area. Yeah, hip position as well sort of goes in the same thing. So understanding how the anterior posterior tilt of the pelvis affects your position. So a lot of the time when we're stuck here and we try and open our arms above our head, our low back then changes. So now I'm changing my hips. When I try and correct my hips, my shoulders close again. So that hang-in is really good because it's lengthening both ends. And obviously all the muscles that surround the hip, really important that you stretch those out. Make sure that you can go into a deep hip flexor quad stretch up against the wall, this type of thing, upright torso. If you can't, start further away, move closer to the wall, a good hamstring opening and a good glute external rotation, or opening up towards internal rotation. So up on a box, pigeon, 90-90 position, something like that is going to be beneficial to open the hips up. So sort of assess yourself and then work out where the weak links are on those positions. I can handstand push up, but my arms are wide and my body straight down and up. Yeah, so that's normally because you've been doing back to wall handstand push ups. So what we want to do with the handstand push ups is try and get more of a angled position, which you learn more from chest to wall handstand push ups. So doing it this way, it's the same pathway as the pike push up as well. So we'll open shoulders, come down, shoulders, head goes in front of the hands, and then we push back up to that open position. That's going to mimic the freestanding, and it's going to make it much easier to balance when you come down instead of it being straight up and down on the hands, because you'll feel that when you get to the bottom there, you've got nowhere to go. You'll go overbalance or underbalance really fast. My handstand, not like you, like angel handstand push-up. Not sure what an angel handstand push-up is. Does that mean like an arched position in the back? Difference between flexibility and mobility. So there's like, they merge together, but normally it's seen as strength through the range of motion. So a good example is something like, it's very handstand related, something like a seated straddle position. So you get someone who's very flexible here. I'm not going to be great, haven't stressed this today yet, but if you're very flexible in this position and you can lay flat, most people that can do that naturally can't open and close. So if I can open and close, this is more mobility of that range. Flexibility is just hanging out down the bottom here, but you have to use your hands to get back up. So mobility, I would prefer to work because it carries over to the strength skills. So if we take that same position, mobility, open and close in that position, same thing, mobility there, open and closing the hips, but now in a handstand position. So strength through that range of motion. So where possible, try and use mobility. Flexibility is great as well, but there's a time and a place. But if you have a preference or an option, I would pick the mobility exercise over flexibility for that reason, because it carries over to the skills more. Solution for wrist pain. So normally what's happening is the wrists are taking everything. So if your balance is terrible, then your wrists are going to do lots and lots of fine tuning and try and survive, basically. And then mobility wise, if we're lacking mobility, our wrists again take the load. It's like if I've got bad hip, bad knees, and my knee drops in all the time or moves around. So if this is moving around all the time or struggling, my ankle is actually going to get sore, because that's like the point where the energy or the load is getting stuck. So normally then you'll get pain in the ankle, but the ankle isn't the problem, it's the hip or the knee or the body is moving. So exactly the same in the handstand. If you clean your handstand line up, clean your mobility up, create more space. The other way of creating more space as well is if you're a bit tighter, and you should be handstanding here because your mobility doesn't allow this, but if you still try and handstand here, your wrists are actually going to take a lot of stress. So it's compensating at the wrists. So that's a common one. And also just increasing your volume too high. So a lot of people get super keen with this style of training, which is cool, but we need to be careful that we don't do too much volume at once. So if you do loads and loads of volume all in one day, so say I train for 4 hours in one day, but then I don't train for another 4 days, it's too much volume in one go. So the weak links start to ache and hurt. So that's often the wrists. Can you give a full shoulder strengthening workout, and how often do you do it? So I basically train handstand push-ups, press handstand, planche, and handstand balance. So all of those things make my shoulders stronger for those skills. So I wouldn't do anything away from those unless someone is super weak in those positions. If you're super weak in those positions and you can't get any time there or quality reps, we need to work things like push-ups, dips, chin-ups, so that type of thing. So to build up any gaps in strength, but as soon as possible, move over 100% to those protracted positions. So like planche, easy planche leans, easy tuck planche positions, handstand push-ups, presses, and then just handstand conditioning. That will make your shoulders super strong. So I don't do any overhead pressing or anything like that. However, when I was younger, that's all I done. So dumbbell presses, bench press, and that type of thing. So, but I completely stopped that 11 years ago, and now I'll use them very occasionally as demonstration. I still use weights for legs occasionally. So look, there's a deadlift bar there ready to go. So I'll do deadlifts. I don't know. I'd actually done deadlifts yesterday. Haven't done them for a long time, but maybe once a month I'll do a heavier deadlift session for legs. But in terms of upper body strength, it's all body weight. No, never tried archer handstand push-ups. Not a big fan of going too crazy out of in odd positions, just because I want to be very, very careful and not hurt myself. I've got silly in the past and tried a few things, and I wasn't doing any type of weighted handstand push-ups, and then I hurt my shoulder trying to max out my a weight vest handstand push-up. And I didn't need to. There was no reason to do it. Like, my handstand push-ups were strong, and they were getting stronger and stronger. And I just added in weighted handstand push-ups. So my body wasn't used to that extra load. So I see things like that, like archer handstand push-ups. They're a cool movement, but it's too risky because my body's not used to it in terms of that plane of movement. And especially because I've got some strength there already, but I've probably got some gaps if I go into odd positions. So I don't want to load it in a intense position. I get forearm pain while training planche. What should I do? I'd pull back to easier positions and make sure that you've got super strong scapular positioning. So like protraction, really focus on that. Make sure your arms are turned out. Also do hanging. So hanging, front lever work. Make sure that your arms are staying straight. You're not got a bad position in terms of hands too close. So your elbows are having to bend. Try and make sure there's enough space, and mobility is good. Like scapular push-ups, this sort of thing should be super comfortable, and be a given that you can push all the way up to protraction. Up and out. I can feel when I go up to protraction, there's a bit of soreness there for my planche session yesterday, but elbows and stuff is okay. So I'm focusing just on that scapular position, making sure I can get there. So I would pull back to some easier planche variations. So planche leans, tuck planche, and make the intensity quite low on those. Don't go too crazy. Just because because I love that style of training. Handstands, handstand push-ups, planches, presses. I'm just addicted to that style of training. If you don't enjoy handstands, you definitely shouldn't be training handstands. It's like a passion thing. It's super time consuming, takes over everything. Like if you want to go to something like a one-arm handstand, like it's years and years of training for that one thing. And if you're not into it, you should not be doing handstands. You should find someone else you love. So yeah, that's why I prioritize it, because I love it. Hi from Spain. Hey, how you doing? Can you do handstand if you are a bit overweight? Yes, definitely. You can do a handstand when you're unconditioned. You can do when you're a little bit overweight. You just need to be sensible with your progressions. So start very slowly, get the body used to it, and then only go as far as you feel comfortable. Now, obviously, if you lose some weight, handstands body weight strength is super easy. But that's one of the cool things with it, is that if you start training when you're a little bit heavier, you start to lose a little bit of weight, and also you increase your body weight strength conditioning. Those two things then at the same time are making it much, much easier. Like I've just lost 3 or 4 kilos, and all of these exercises feel so much easier, like crazy the difference. So if you can lose weight while you're learning these skills, then it's a really good way to go, because things are just going to get easier and easier and easier. Your technique's going to get better, your strength's going to get better, and then your strength to your body weight ratio is going to get better as well. So things just get easier and easier. The perfect Sado push-up, please perform. So in terms of those, so I've got a preference that I prefer. So externally rotate, go into a protracted position. So this is to be like a home position. And then all you're going to do is come down. So notice to start, I'm going to go on my knees, and then I'm going to take the shoulders forwards, and I'm going to try and stay in a little bit of protraction as I come down. So I'm rounding the back to there, and then coming back up again. So all I'm focusing on is rounding the upper back, so the protracted position being the focus, and then leaning forwards as I come down. If that feels okay on my knees, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to turn the toes over. So now I'm trying to promote this forward lean. It's very much like a planche lean. So in that protracted position, and then coming forwards there, and then pushing back up to there again. So I would view that as like a planche lean push-up. So the focus is all on protraction, externally rotating at the top, making sure we're locking the arms out fully. So it'll carry over to more things. So you've always got to think, like, why are you doing something and what's the ultimate goal? So if you can eventually get to like full planche push-ups, which would be extreme level, that's going to be the best technique to get you towards that. What is the main purpose of scapular push-ups and pull-ups? So scap pull-ups, scap push-ups is all about the shoulder blades working correctly and putting you in a strong position. So like if you go into protraction, so here, if I go into a protracted position, even on my toes in that position, you can stand on my back in that position. Or if I'm going to push a car, so if I need to push something here, I'm going to go into a scapular protracted position. It's your strongest position. So it's like your arm are across your upper back. If I do the opposite and I retract, so if I drop through my shoulder blades here, now I'm collapsed, my shoulder blades are winging. I don't have the help of all the correct muscles like the serratus anterior and all the muscles that put the scapula in the correct position, that I've got an unstable base for any of my exercises. So having a scapula or shoulder blades that move correctly, hug the rib cage, it basically makes your base super, super strong, and then you can layer anything on top of that. So super, super important. And a lot of people are stuck in their shoulder blades. So like if our pec minor, our lat is all tight and it pulls us down, our scapular shoulder blade tends to wing and then creates weakness in the shoulder. So we can't load the shoulder correctly, we can't move the arm correctly. So it's really important that the shoulder blade has good movement, but also has conditioning through that range. How long did it take you to learn the one-arm handstand? It took about 18 months to get my 10-second one-arm when I was after training it seriously. So about 18 months to get 10 seconds on the right-hand side, and then like over 2 years to get 10 seconds on the left side. So my left side is much, much weaker. I've always had a dodgy left shoulder. And yeah, my weak side is very much weaker than my right side. But 10 seconds on the right. And normally people will see that as being the initial goal with a one-arm handstand is a 10-second hold. But you do change the goalposts, because if I look at that first 10-second hold and it's ugly as hell, I probably wouldn't like to call that a one-arm handstand now. But so you change the goalposts as you go, but roughly 18 months. And I'd say for most people between 12 months and 2 years to get, like 1 to 2 years to get a one-arm handstand. Is it very important to do Hindu push-ups for handstand push-ups? No, I don't think so. Like they're a good exercise, a good mobility movement, but I've never trained them. But like Hindu push-ups is another movement like scapular push-ups, where it's going to help you condition the scapula, because you go through into retraction as you come through and then push up to strong positions. But if you can do dips, you can do pike push-ups, you can do scapular push-ups. If you're doing planche work, I would say you don't need to do Hindu push-ups, but it's not because they're a bad exercise. It's just because it depends what else you're doing. You basically just need to fill your gaps in the least amount of exercises. I feel like I'm leaning enough in the bent arm planche, but my feet won't come off. Any suggestions? So I would raise the hands up and start in a tuck position. So in a bent arm position, I've got my laptop on my other step at the moment. But if you raise the hands up, even on like these P-bars, that's probably raised up quite a bit. So think with this, that you need to have, if your hands are in the middle, you need to have equal weight in front that's behind. If we change the angle, so if I take the head and shoulders down, I don't need to go so far forwards. So like a peacock position or something like that. But in a bent arm planche, I need to equal what's behind with what's in front. So if I go into a tuck position like that, then I don't need to take the head and shoulders so far forwards. If I go further forwards, like that, now I had to take the head and shoulders much further forwards to counterbalance what was behind. So if you video from the side, you should be able to see, oh, look, I haven't got enough weight forwards. I can't bring my knees off. If I take my hands forwards, then I can lift the knees up because I've taken the head and shoulders far enough forwards. Don't be scared to get contact between your upper arm and your torso. Don't be in an elbow lever, because that's a hard place to get out of, but have contact. So some friction there is really good, especially when you're learning, and externally rotate the hands. So P-bars are good because they naturally do that, but they'll help to bring your elbows into your torso. We're up to date with the questions. I don't think I've missed any. It's a bit quieter today, only 6 people on. So any other questions while I'm on? I'm going to train a little bit. I do some balance work actually. I think I'll save my handstand push-ups for tomorrow. So let's see if I can get a one-arm handstand. So I've just done all that stuff, what I've just done on video. That's the only things I've done this morning. But let's see if I can get a one arm on the good side first. Nope. Oh, that is a bit more of a warm-up. Sado push up, good for training. What does that mean? BAPL? Not sure what that is. My handstand is 20 seconds. 20 seconds is awesome. Can you lose weight from only doing calisthenics in terms of workout? For sure. Obviously, you need to do more superset type stuff, get the heart rate going. Losing weight's more about food than training. Trainings should be a given. You should be training anyway. Just do training that you love. That's the biggest thing because you'll do it the most. And then I would just recommend cutting calories down. That's the biggest way to lose weight. And just do exercise that you enjoy. Okay, let's see if I can get a decent one arm. It's a bit better. I'm not one-arm training as much as I used to. I more just play with it on top of the strength stuff. Oh, bent arm planche. Yes, definitely. But I would train that tuck bent arm planche. So elevate the hands up and just get your feet off the floor. Because any type of push-up with your toes still on the floor has got your toes on the floor. So it's way harder to get into that position of actually floating and learning the balance. So yes, I would do those push-ups, but I would also do holds in a bent arm planche position in a tuck to start with. Like the elevated P-bars are super good for understanding that position. And then you can do transitions in and out. So have something like this. And then be in like here in that position. You can even come into very much of a tuck. Like that sort of thing is really good. If you don't have the P-bars, go between two chairs, just turn the hands out. So I'll be doing that as a priority if you really want bent arm planche. So making sure that you're getting some sort of balance work, understanding that what's in front of the hands and what's behind. Which handstand push-up is harder? Is it straight handstand push-up or forward bend handstand push-up? It depends. So where handstand push-ups are way easier if your balance is very good and understand where you put your body relevant to the balance to pull you out of the position. So like someone's just asked, can you show us a 90-degree handstand push-up? So I'll try and do a 90-degree handstand push-up and I'll try and talk while I'm doing it. So I can show you how I'm using the body to help me make the 90-degree handstand push-up easier. So that understanding will change how hard a particular handstand push-up is. So if you get your technique right, there's a lot of handstand push-ups that you can actually make quite easy because of your body being in the right position, or they can be extremely hard by not being in the efficient position to get a good repetition or an easy repetition. But it depends what your goal is, because Is it to do reps of handstand push-ups and make them as easy as possible? Or is it to get more of a training demand? But in some ways, it'll be good to make it harder. Let's see if I can get a 90. So I'm going to go a little bit wider with my hands. I'm going to take my hands more externally rotate. That's going to allow me to take my head and shoulders further past my hands at the bottom. And then when I come back up, it should help me scoop up the legs. So a little bit wider position. Coming down, bent arm planche position. I'm going to see if I can touch the toes. And then scoop up and back out to the top. Now what I mean by scoop is I'm allowing the body to arch a little bit and pull back towards overbalance, which helps pull me out of the handstand. But if I stay over this way more underbalanced, it's going to make my hips and my legs feel heavier when I come up. So we ideally want to be further forwards, and that's going to make it much easier to scoop out, as long as we don't go overbalance too far, because we'll get stuck. Is there any hamstring thing I should be doing, be able to do fully? Is there any hamstring thing I should do to be able to fully extend legs on L-sit? Yeah, so basically with an L-sit position in fully extended legs, you need to be able to sit on the floor with a flat back. So I'm trying to sit upright here. Now, I've got very good hamstring flexibility now, but that's hard for me to do, to sit up in that position. Now, look at that 90-degree position. That's exactly the same as this 90-degree position. Now, this is much easier for me. Now, the reason this is much easier is because I've got weight in my legs that's pushing through, and I'm using that to move against when I come down. So now I can comfortably get in a flat back position, but I've still got that 90 degrees position. Now, in that L-sit, to extend the legs, I can take the hips back a little bit, which allows me to hunch over a little bit, and then I can extend up. So there's a little bit of a cheat in that L-sit position, but I still need to have very good hamstring flexibility. So if you just practice getting deeper in this forward fold position in different ways, so like Jefferson curls, rolling through the spine, locking the knees backwards, forward fold holds, single leg hamstring stretching, this type of thing. Make sure you're stretching your hamstrings daily, and then you should just be able to sit in that 90-degree position. And that's going to give you the biggest chance of getting a straight-legged L-sit. But most people struggle with their straight-legged L-sit because of the mobility issue, not because of the strength issue. It means they're unconditioned in that position because they can't spend any time there because their mobility stops them. Can your handstand push-up help me in muscle-ups? Yep, definitely. Bent arm strength is going to carry over. However, for the muscle-up, there's a certain amount of technique. You need to have a high pull. So whatever muscle-up, whether it's bar muscle-up, ring muscle-up, having a strong pull to take you as high as possible, past the bar, past the ring, before you do a transition is the most important thing. So if you pull to here, doesn't matter how strong your push is, when you get on top, you can't get on top because you're not high enough. So you need to be able to pull. So that's where flexibility, mobility, and then just strength in the pulling movement to get high enough will make it whether you get a muscle up or not. Can you guide me for a one-arm pull-up? Not in a YouTube live session. I've got progressions for more one-arm chin-up. I've only got a one-arm chin-up once on my left-hand side. I can do eccentrics once I've warmed up. So basically, I would train it, get to the point where you can do a lock-off. So hold this position. If you're doing pull-ups, it would be this way, but I would train chin-ups. I just think it's much easier to go through the progressions. So hold the top of a chin-up, and then you could try and do archer chin-ups. I've got a YouTube video showing all these archer chin-ups like that, especially if you're on rings. If you're on a bar, you can slide a hand out back again. Once you get comfortable with archer chin-ups, both going up and down and holding that top position, then we want to be releasing this hand and just holding yourself here. So this hand is in the center. I'm trying to open the chest up and hold this position. Learn to hold the lock-off position. So get good at that. And then also while you're doing that, real slow eccentrics. Make sure you're super strong on those. And then super slow eccentric coming down through the chin up. And then when you get to the bottom, getting used to this active passive position at the bottom of your one arm chin up. So that's like a real rough guide in terms of the bits you need to be looking at. And then putting it all together into some sort of format that works: the concentric, the eccentric, the lock off at the top, and those active passive at the bottom. Just be careful with one arm training work or one arm pull up work. If you're also doing handstand push ups, if you're also doing muscle up training and stuff, your elbows are going to really feel it. So just be super careful with that. That's what I'm trying to learn at the moment. In the last video, you said add deficits of training. So I do wall handstand push-ups on P-bars, which find harder than normal handstand push-up. Yeah, super, like time under tension throughout the range of motion is the most important thing. Obviously, we need some concentric work as well, but you just need to spend time throughout the pathway. If you can start to do that freestanding as much as possible, so you're understanding the balance aspect as well, but just making sure you've got no gaps. So gap is when you're using momentum to pass through a movement, or you're dropping through the movement on the eccentric. Is training 5 days a week and stretching 2 days a week all right? Yeah, I mean, it's based on you. So whatever you're doing currently, make sure you're getting results. If you're getting results, don't change a thing. If you're heading towards your goals, if you're making progress, don't change anything. If you're not making progress, but you was making progress, then you could probably increase the intensity and or volume, but don't start off 7 days a week, high intensity, high volume, because you've got nowhere to go. So that sounds perfect. And just see how you go. But I'd also, in terms of stretching, I would add in passive stretching or sitting in positions or visiting positions day to day. So like when you're cleaning your teeth, stretch your calves. When you're watching TV or playing Xbox or PlayStation, sit in a straddle position, sit in a stretch, that type of thing. So visit your mobility positions. Trust me, like learning mobility at my age was so much harder because I was really stuck in positions. And the only way I really made a massive impact was doing mobility sessions with the calisthenics work, but also those visiting the positions. Okay, guys, I've got 2 more minutes and then I'm coming off. So any other questions? How many days am I working out? I work out 7 days a week. But some of them, like today, I'm counting this as my training session today. And it's just sort of playing around with you guys doing the YouTube live because I've done a harder session yesterday. I'll do a handstand push-up session tomorrow. I was going to do it today, but I'm short of time now. So I'm going to do handstand push-ups tomorrow and I'll train hard then. But then the next day I probably won't train as hard. So I sort of go up and down depending on what workload I have and stuff. But I'm doing something every day towards handstands, towards this style of training. If I can do a handstand push-up, do I have enough strength for press handstand straddle? It's a different movement, one's straight arm, one's bent arm, but they do carry over. So once you get a decent handstand push-up, a press handstand is relatively quick to learn because you can use the same concept and come at it from a bent arm way. So you can have a slight bend in your arms when you start to press, and then over time decrease that bend. When I kick up to handstand, I balance for 1 to 2 seconds, and then I overbalance, please help. Biggest thing is just get good at those heel pull, toe pull drills. So making sure that your window of balance when your handstand is big. Kick up, don't kick off the wall, push up and away with the fingers and reach up with the toes, nice and tall, so you're not kicking off the wall. Get super good at that. And then the same thing this way around. Get super strong at this. So you're pulling yourself off the wall with the shoulders, you're not kicking off. If you put those two together, make your balance window really big, your handstand's going to go through the roof. That takes time, lots of practice. Do those with freestanding. So like a lot of superset, or practice those first. Have a little play with your freestanding. How many hours do you work out? It all depends. Because I'm coaching and I join in with everyone. So when I'm demonstrating stuff, when I'm coaching, when I'm doing one-on-ones, when I'm doing online sessions, a lot of the time when I'm doing feedback, I'll be doing stuff and showing people things. Like today, I wouldn't count this as a workout, but I've just done 45 minutes of demonstrating things. So does that count as training? I don't know. So I would just try and do that as much as you can. Make it part of your day. It's hard if you sit behind a desk all day or things like that, but try and increase the amount of movement, exercises, daily practice you're doing that you don't really count towards your training, but it's all adds up. Sir, smile, please. I haven't got time to smile. I also train front levers. I've been able to do single leg lever for 2 years, but still no full front lever. I can't progress. Yeah, the issue with a lot of the single leg variations is people use their hip flexor too much and make that part of the movement. So if I'm going to do a front lever, if I bring one leg in, that hip flexor really takes over. So if I pull up, now if I pull with this leg and I do this, see how this leg is being part of my torso, and this hip flexor is making it is so crucial for that hold. As soon as I try and get rid of that hip flexor, it tries to pull me that way, and it's not going to work. So I much prefer to start with like opened out positions like this than single leg variations. It's much easier then to keep opening and open all the way out. So I don't like the single leg variations for that reason. People just tend to get too stuck in the hip flexor on that. It's very strange. I can do 5 handstand push-ups freestanding, but not frog to handstand. Yeah, just get used to that seesaw with that one. So trying to go up and down, do eccentric handstand to frog. So you can understand the pathway and then try and replicate it back up. Guys, I'm going to whiz through these last ones, but I do have to go to get to school. As a beginner, my wrists give out way before my upper body limits my practice session time. Any tips? I covered the wrist thing earlier in this session in the Q&A, so just watch the recording. I went through that in detail. How can I apply heel pulls and toe pull drills into freestyle handstand? So do heel pulls to freestanding. So once you get reps of heel pulls, reps of toe pulls, then try and go heel pull to freestanding, try and go toe pull to freestanding. And then once you get good at that, do a superset. So heel pull to 10-second freestanding, toe pull to 10-second freestand, jump up in the middle of the room, aim to do a 10-second freestanding, and then just do that as a superset. Which calisthenics exercise do you recommend for supplement for runners? I would hang. But if you then want to go to a skill, whatever skill you prefer. So freestyle handstand is really good because it forces you to work all the mobility and create that one segment, that strong piece. So I would go that hang if you just want something to help you. Freestyle handstand if you've got the interest in that. It needs to be what you're interested in, really. That's the main one. Do pike push-ups help with toe pull? Not really. I do them separately. They're totally different movements. They complement each other, but they don't really help each other. Awesome, guys. I'm going to sign off. Got to go. I will speak to you all soon. If you stick questions down, if I'm offline, I'll try and answer those when I come back. So stick anything down. And even if you're watching this recording, exactly the same. Stick any comments down, and I'll get back to them. And if I miss anything, stick a comment down in my latest video, and I will probably see it. And if I don't see it, keep asking questions. Speak to you soon. Rosie's saying bye. Cheers, guys.